Well, thank you, Zach. Welcome everybody to the planning board meeting of September 24th. What we have tonight is we have the minutes of September 10th. Old business, which is non-new business, formal site plan, Town of Poland. For the transfer station, formal site plan, Howe and Hughes Holdings LLC, which has been before us before, with a couple of changes, and then a formal shoreline zoning and
Gagne.
When I say Gagne, Gagne, thank you.
I answered all.
And I probably will mistake it again tonight, but
I know
correct
who you're
me.
talking about.
Okay, great. And then any other business. So we can go directly to the minutes, please. And we have enough people to approve these and so forth. Anybody see any corrections that needed to be taken care of on this?
No, I think we're good. Need a motion?
I would love to have a motion, please.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for September 10th as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? I forgot to mention Heather is a voting member tonight. So,
We're good.
nope, I'm just waiting for it to come
Oh,
back. No, I wasn't waiting for a response, I was just waiting to get stuff back. So, actually, we can keep moving on. So let's go to, under new business, we've got a formal site plan review for the Town of Poland. 1 Waste Not Drive, map 15, lot 1B. Thank you.
Are you sitting down?
Yep.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
You don't even have to use that, you can just talk.
I love it. Perfect. I was at Winthrop there probably about a month ago, and the microphone was super sensitive. Every time I was taking a breath, I swear to God, I was like, oh boy, self-conscious. So, yeah, not good. Eric Doobie, I am owner of Trillium Engineering, Civil Structural Engineering, and representing Town of Poland tonight. And transfer station, this is pretty simple. I'm gonna just go right to the site plan on this, use a pointer if that's okay. So I'm sure most people are familiar with the transfer station, and so I've been working with Matt Garside specifically to, in this area, which is the low bin area. Basically, the whole reason this came up is that we want to, or at least want to enclose that, or at least a 3-sided enclosure with a structure that keeps snow, ice, water, things like that. They have some issues with drainage and just ice in general in the winter time, and trying to keep it as clean as possible. So we're really focusing, you probably saw in the package, most of our efforts on covering this area with basically this square right here. And then in this area where we do have bin storage over here, we want to, which is basically gravel impervious area, we just want to make that a slab so it's easier for these roll-off bins on that side of the transfer station in general. So while we're doing this, we're keeping the drainage, we're going to work on keeping that existing drainage here, and then we're going to work on replacing or I should say, not replacing, but relocating this catch basin structure. It actually catches the runoff as needed in this. And we're putting in a level lip spreader to basically be able to treat this a little bit better. Right now, it's just kind of sediment and other stuff that runs off this pavement and concrete area. So we're trying to give this sediment a place to go and then treat it as it goes into this forested buffer, we'll call it on that. So for the most part, that's really what we're trying to accomplish. Something very simple, but it also triggers site plan review. So happy to turn it over and answer any questions. I know I've been working with Jim Seymour about some of the comments that we had. I'm going to apologize. Said this to Matt earlier, and I apologize to Jim there the other day that when we submitted this, apparently we left out the detail sheets for C200 and C300. That was totally our fault. I apologize for that. But we shipped them over for review, which included the level lip spreader detail and catch basin details and things like that. So
seemingly a very simple project, but needs to obviously come before site plan, so. Should we, well, let me ask, does anybody have any questions about it here? Obviously, there's stuff that our third-party reviewer picked up, and part of that was what you just mentioned, and there's a couple other small things that possibly the professional staff can handle within house, but anybody from the board have questions?
I think it's pretty straightforward. It's just covering the existing bins that are there now, plus the recycling bin as well. Will it cover that side, the entire, all three structures?
Correct.
So basically, what it's gonna do is, it's gonna come back further from where it is now, all the way back over to where the bins are in the back. So the water will shed out, not roll back in there, ice, all these things going forward. And then where they store, if everyone looks here, they usually, you've got a retaining wall here. Retaining wall here, that they put some of the bins there, that they're gonna do a concrete pad there, just so it's not gonna keep ripping up stuff and so forth as they go forward.
I would say, those bins, if they filled up with water in the winter, that added a little extra weight to the dump fees you're paying.
Let's not go down that road from the other board that I'm on. We'll just leave that right
They'll
alone.
probably pay for the structure.
Yeah. And I believe, Matt, if you want to just nod, I mean, a lot of this is being paid from a grant.
Yes, so we received a $598,000 congressionally directed spending grant that's being administered through the EPA for this stuff. So there's no raise in appropriated money being used for this. So what the project entails is purchasing one more 4-yard compactor, which we've done. That's for the recycling. This structure that goes over all 3 compactors and extends out, it'll have an open end on the north side. And that'll keep the snow and ice and other debris out of there, make changing them out easier. We put the concrete pad down, as Eric described, with a small, concrete wall around it. The idea is that we can get down with the loader when there's trash there and scoop it up instead of letting it blow around down there. Then we've got to see where we are with funding. If we have, the rest of the project would entail repaving existing areas and purchasing some additional components, like a couple of open-top containers, some other roll-off containers, and well, I just don't think we're going to have any more money available if we're able to do all of that.
So one thing in the application, I guess I was confused about, but is there a septic system up there, so?
I would hope so.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is it says that there's not. There's an existing septic, it
There
says.
should be an existing septic there.
I thought there was, because
There's a bathroom there.
there is a bathroom. That's one question, I mean,
Yes.
because I knew there was a bathroom put in there, so that's all I had. But other than that, other than, did this whole parcel go into the conservation easement at the same time that Hill Hollow went in there? Because I didn't realize
Yeah.
that when I was reading the deed and so forth, so I forgot about that. I don't want to waste any time on that, but did it go
Well,
roughly at the same time into the?
Yeah, so just a quick answer on that, Jim, is my head was spinning when I was reading the deed and, you know, going from the rod next to the tree to figure out where the boundaries were. But we found some documents in the files here that we forwarded to Scott and Jim, and I think delineates where the transfer station is and answers that question.
Yeah, so I mean, basically the land that's not being used for the transfer station goes back into the
In the
conservation easement, which, once again, is tied into the Hill Hollow and everything in the downtown, so. Same thing, because I don't remember that, and I thought this was a smaller parcel, and I was reading that going like, we got like 15 pages of deed here, so I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so. Anybody else from the board have questions, concerns?
So the paving is dependent on funding availability.
Yeah, we've got to see that, we think that the actual structure itself is going to cost maybe just under 120 grand. We got a rough estimate a couple of months ago. I'm not sure how much the concrete's going to cost, but it would seem reasonable that there'd be enough left over to do the paving. We've spent maybe 40 out of that 598 so far, so we've got about 550 left. So I think we should be able to do the paving. And I think that'll make a big difference to folks when we get that completed.
Yeah, when you go down that hill, it's a little,
Yeah, it's a bit rough.
Or as you pull in or go down the hill, so you're saying with the little,
yeah, that's,
Yeah.
there's a, it's little, it's like a video game going through there, so.
Scott, do you have any issues?
Nope.
Jim, we read this, you think that the small deficiencies that are in here can be,
Once we have the rest of the pages, we were good.
okay, and,
The only thing else you may just want to touch base on is technically you gotta go through the downtown design standards, but I think we've determined that all those are pretty much non-applicable.
because where it is,
Yes.
the butters,
And the type of
it's gotta
structure
be.
and the type of use.
Yeah, okay, so, I appreciate that, thank you. All right, so, I'll put my glasses on if people wanna start working down through this. No other questions?
No, I think I'm good. Nothing's changing up above, this up, the upper level, right? Nothing's changing up there.
I liked your part in there, Jim, of types of odors generated, it was kinda like, that kinda is what it is, right? You know, when you had through yours, I thought that was
Depends on the
kinda,
day.
I thought it was kinda funny how you just.
Well, that's
Yeah,
like the
just-
waste disposal is not a concern for this development.
It's already there.
Humorous.
So is this something you're planning to do this fall?
I don't think we're gonna have enough time,
Really?
because we've got to lay some concrete. So I think we're really looking at getting RFPs put together and get those out for bid and do some construction work next spring once the weather lets us get in at it.
It's become a construction year-round, though, now it seems like everything is moves regardless. Yeah, I'm just saying, you still gotta get everyone lined up, and if you can get someone, contractors there to do it, it's the other thing. So,
Yeah,
Typically better to bid this stuff out in the winter, in my opinion.
yeah.
Doesn't matter, it's, they're all busy.
And I mean, what little material you're getting, or whatever the material is, I mean, that too is, who knows now with the shipping things gonna be on strike, all the ports, where what you're waiting on could be, backlog somewhere there too. You never know what affects what.
There's nothing checked here on the cost analysis of the project and the financial capabilities demonstrated, but that was addressed in Jim's thing, so I'll just
Yeah, right.
say provided on that. Phosphorus is fine on that. No waivers on this, Jim?
I don't see the need for any.
Okay. No additional permits, so we're good on that, so can I have a motion please on the checklist?
Sure. I'll make a motion that we approve the checklist for the formal site review. Town of Poland, 1 Waste Not Drive, map 15, lot 1B is complete.
Can I have a second please?
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor? Okay.
We
Well, there's no waivers, no anything other than, I think everything was addressed since Jim had mentioned and the engineer had mentioned that they could probably put something in there, Jim has a chance to
Right,
review that.
we've taken it, yeah.
Yep, so we'll do, on the formal with no
No conditions. No,
conditions.
yes.
No sidewalk, no public hearing.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the formal site plan for Town of Poland, 1 Waste Not Drive, map 15, lot 1B with the typical boilerplate, no sidewalk and no public hearing. So,
Any second on that, please?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
okay.
No. We can't keep
Good job.
calling it the dump because we got excoriated years ago from calling it the dump. So
I know.
it's the transfer station's becoming nicer. so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Thank you, Matt.
See you, Eric. Have a good one.
Thank you. Good to see you.
All right, so we've got a full site plan, got this table from our last meeting for Howe and Hughes Holdings LLC, 95 McGuire Hill Road, map 27, lots 17 and 18.
Justin, Main Design Build, representing Shelley and Jeff Howe and Hughes. We submitted it and we have some responses to the audit of the plans. Not sure how you guys want us to kind of go through and respond to each of the items, or you want to ask us?
Well, we can go through because, I mean, we had an initial plan that seemingly has changed, correct?
It hasn't changed. We added parking annotations on the plans, dimensions.
So why don't we discuss that, because
Sure.
that's what we asked you to come back with. So, right now.
Yeah, so there were some comments on the site plans as far as parking layouts and dimensions. I think we had showed the parking spot, no dimensions there. We also had not shown the post office parking, so we added that to the site plan as kind of currently. A few of the other things was the cut sheets for lighting, exterior lighting. We added that into the elevations with some dark night lighting fixtures for reducing light pollution. We did add an erosion control plan. The plan after this thing was 104, basically doing mulch berms on the downhill side of the parking area. That was one of the alterations recommended. There was discussion, kind of going out of order here, there was discussion about removing the barrier at the Raymond Road side. I believe it was to facilitate emergency vehicles was the comment. I think we would like to make the argument that the through traffic, when that barrier is not there, becomes a hazard in itself, which was kind of the reason of establishing that barrier. So I guess that's just kind of our counterpoint to that, An updated site septic system was provided in the packet. The post office has its own holding tank that gets pumped when filled.
So this one that you have here is dated 1990. Is that the one that's still in existence? Or is there a new plan since then?
We received these comments and some new stuff today at 10:30, so I did find another plan.
You did find another plan?
Yeah, basically the same plan, the same design flow, just it's 10 years newer. It's a concrete chamber system that's behind the post office.
So they're both on the same system?
No, they're separate.
No.
This is for the house, and the post office has its holding tank.
So that's just a holding tank?
Yes.
So is it pumping to anything else, or is it just?
No.
No, it gets pumped in
It's
the
pumped when
alarm.
the red light comes on,
Okay.
1,500 gallon, I believe. I'm not 100% on that, but I believe it's 1,500.
And the leach field on this is behind the post office or down beside the post office, is it, or?
Yeah, it's on 91, not 95.
Okay. It's a chamber system, is that what it is? Okay, under the parking lot, or is it beyond?
The parking lot has the tanks, and a line runs down across where all the people come in and out. And then if you're driving by and you look at the post office, you'll see an electrical outlet out there in the yard, and that's a pumping station, so it comes down. I believe it's called a vacuum line pumping or something like that. but that pumping station pushes it into the infiltration area,
Into the leach field, yeah.
into the leach fields.
There's not been any issues with that leach field then?
No, well, when we bought it, it was all shut down.
Okay.
It was all working fine at that point, we had it inspected, and everything was fine when we got it inspected, but obviously it will need to be inspected, I'm sure again, that was 5 years ago.
Okay.
We haven't actually used it, with the exception of very little water's gone through.
Mhm. So its size is correct for the 3-bedroom?
For the 3-bedroom, and it was 3-bedroom and
Three
In the
employees.
apartment or in the store?
3
it
employees.
was 3 employees.
Or 3 employees, okay. Okay.
It's not a store, right? It's an office? It was
Correct.
marked as retail last time, but now it's office, correct?
Right, yes.
This application was for the store though, when the store was there.
And the other question, I know you mentioned about the barrier in the back. Yeah, and I understand, you know, you don't want the traffic through there from North Raymond Road, but I'm just wondering if that's something where, instead of being such a rigid barrier for the fire department, did they address that with you, or having like a, don't they have like a, one of the gates they can just push through or something like that? I don't know. Is that what they do? Like a
They typically have a gate with a Knox box.
knock, oh, okay.
So they can come in, they have a
They
universal
use it that
key
way.
that they can come in and they can open that up, so.
Okay.
To your point, that may be easier, plus, I think in there, in the wintertime, snow removal is gonna be tricky, where you're gonna push all the snow.
Right, exactly.
I think, Scott, you had mentioned too about the parking spaces. How many parking spaces are required for this redesign?
It's usually just two per unit plus the business. I couldn't even speak.
Office space based on the square footage, so.
You know, I was confused by the parking, because there's a set that's labeled 10, 11, 12, and another set labeled 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, and obviously that's changed since what you have in the packet.
But it looks like we've eliminated the ones on North Raymond.
That's what it looks
Correct.
like, yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes.
But there's spots in front of the garage.
Which, exactly.
Yes, I think they were hoping to park one in the garage and then one directly behind the door.
So those are for the apartments?
Right.
So they're not gonna park on the side, on the McGuire Hill
Correct.
side?
Correct.
Because that must be down there in the road limits of the state,
Oh, it
'cause
is.
that's a state road.
Right, I mean, you see the big V up
The
there.
right-of-ways go through, from Raymond Road, they literally go through the house, and on McGuire Road, they go through the house. Yeah, not a lot, but they go through on both sides. It was the King's tax highway, that's how old, that's how far back it goes.
Oh, yeah.
So you've eliminated the parking on the side too. So in total, what is there, 8 outside? I can't.
It's 10 with the two.
And 4 in the back against the structure and 4 against, I
Right.
think, post office.
4 here, 4 here, 2 here. This is
Post office.
post office.
So one question I have for the board, the parking space that's partly in the right of way, there's been a handicap,
Mhm.
you may need to get some kind of agreement from the state to permanently park there.
I would assume we can't give approval on that because it's not on
Right,
parcel, but
right. So you can sometimes get an agreement from the state, but I think that may lead into all the other traffic congestion, site visibility issues out here as well. Because if somebody parks there and they're trying to come out, you've got the building, but, you know, more vehicle, more visual block, not a great scenario.
Is that the one that's closest to the road you're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
so-
actually in the road.
So eliminating that one and just keeping a single on the side?
I think that's what I would prescribe, but I don't know if they have the need for 2, do they need the 2 handicaps, Scott? Do they need one for the office and just one for the office, right?
Yeah.
So do the handicap on the side, eliminate the second, and then you'd have 8 in the back. Is that enough? Scott?
That's what I'm looking for right now.
For offices, it's one space for every 150 feet of floor space. I don't know what the final tally is of floor space with the updated plans, but then you probably would need 2 for every dwelling,
Two, yeah.
or maybe a unit for each bedroom, or whether they're breaking that up.
I think it's a unit. One unit.
It's one unit, so
Yeah,
2
the
spaces.
office is just under 1,200 square feet, 1161.
That's 12, 13.
That's 10. You need 10 for that, and then you need 4
Yeah.
for the other, so you're at 14. Quick math in my head.
Well,
Somebody can check
900
it, but-
before, right,
What's that?
150, 900 before. So you'd be like 6 spots per,
6 spots for the
900
office.
for 150.
It's 7 for the
150
office.
times 4. 600.
It's 600,
600,
not
yeah.
900, that's what I'm getting at.
Six,
If
yeah. Seven.
you're saying it's 1160 and it's 150 per, take 150 times it by 10, that gets you 1150, so you need 10 for
Yeah.
that. And then 2 each for
That
the
gets
other
you
ones.
1,500, right?
Yeah, well, it's 1150. What's that?
Big building. And that, you know, it also depends on the type of business too, so.
Right, it depends on the type of business, so.
1,250, 1,200 divided by 150 is 8.
You know how long that building's been there? Since the 1850s.
In
That was built in
18
1850.
in 1837, the first post
Yeah.
office moved in there, so we
Yeah.
know it's at least that old.
So instead of car stalls, they need horse stalls? Is that what you're saying?
Well, out back, that was a carriage shop where Charlie Jordan lives,
So you need 12
at
spots?
Huss's.
What's that?
It's 12 spots total?
Well, no, Scott's coming back with 8, so.
Well, 8 for the
Plus
business,
Even the
2 for
business.
each apartment, it's 12 total.
Do the garage spots count?
I would think you can include those with the residential, if they're used for residential only.
Well, yeah,
One
you
per unit.
I
include
think
them
you
for the
can use those.
residential, you can't use them for the office.
Right, so I think you can count them for the residential, so.
Sure.
So they need 10 then outside?
You can get 10 that way.
Right now he's got what, 8?
Got
You
9.
got 9, because you're taking.
Well, you
that
got
one-
10,
you're
you're taking the
that
one out of the right of way.
Right.
And those are, I didn't see the updated plan of those, regular spaced,
Yeah.
10 by 20 or 9 by 8?
9 by 18.
The question would be, what good way, one compact space maybe? But I don't know, it's a guarantee that anybody's gonna have a compact car.
Well,
Well, you have 3, and then you have 4 in front of the building, 2 inside, and then 1 on the side. As we just talked about.
one in the building, I thought it said.
There's 2 in the building.
it's 2 in the building.
Two in the building.
2 garages, and I see 4 here. Is that still what you're maintaining
Four,
against the
yeah.
building?
5, 6,
Yes,
7,
yeah.
8 up there, and then you get
10. You basically get 11 under this, you get 2 inside, you get 4 behind. The 2, one's in the right of way, so we're scrapping that, so
Okay, we
you're,
get back to 10.
well, it's allowing 9 outside.
We need 12 total.
Right.
Unless you want
Once again, trying to just be pragmatic about that. Could the barrier be moved closer to the state DOT right away?
That's what I was just gonna suggest.
That you
If
could
you're gonna
do that
block it
on
off-
that dark dash line
Yeah,
there
if you're
and
gonna
create
block it off, just move it all the way over
Move
the
it
edge of the property line.
back closer to where the edge of the right of
As long
way
as
is.
it doesn't impede the sight distance from people, which it shouldn't, because it's kind of
From
linear
that?
going up there.
What I'm saying, and, yeah, I'm familiar with that area, and you're really familiar with that area, I mean,
I
other
mean,
than.
I might, to George's comment, I might suggest a gate rather than a barrier.
Yeah.
In the event that you need to clear snow, you got something you can open and move it.
Right.
And then the fire department can get in there if they need to for whatever reason. If that gets going, they're probably gonna wanna surround it.
Mhm.
that would give you another spot up there if you moved that, I mean, maybe next to the post office side.
Seems doable.
I mean, everybody think that's a good consensus way of looking at this?
Call it a
Taking the area.
compact car spot.
Well, I think you get a
Well, I
car
mean,
spot and
get
then
rid of
move it
this.
over
Yeah.
parallel to the property line. I think you can get a
Right.
spot in there. The question would be, do you have enough area there to maneuver to get out? I guess is the question, to turn around and get out. It's a little bit tight, but I think you have enough, I think you have more than, it looks to me like you have probably 12, 13 feet, the shortest leg to the edge of that right of way line.
Yeah, so like you're saying, the trapezoid that goes back is wider, but
Right,
the narrow part is. I think that would be,
But if the spots in the garage count, you would have enough as shown, even subtracting ADA, right?
down
one
as
No,
much
we
as
need
what
to
this
add
was.
that one.
We need
One
to add
short.
one.
Because that one, we
That's why
can't
we say
count,
move
we can't
Jerry.
count number 9 there on the plan. You
Right.
got,
Oh,
so,
you can't count either one of these?
yeah, you
One.
count those two, but not the one
No.
out by the,
You can count, not that one, that one.
you
That one
count.
we count.
Yes.
This
Yes.
one not, right. So
Correct.
we'd have 11 spots, including the garage.
And you need 12.
Oh, I thought he needed 8 plus 2.
8 plus 2 per dwelling.
Ah,
8
shit,
plus
yeah.
2 per.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Which is, yeah. So, I think that
Seems reasonable.
seems reasonable, I mean, it's just, yeah, it's unfortunate, we'd all like to put property on the state's, you know, put a building on the state's property and not worry about paying taxes and other things, and having anybody complain about it and so forth, but it's unfortunate, but, is there anything else on this application, Jim, that, other than that, other than depending what the business is?
Yeah,
and-
I think traffic safety is obviously a huge concern. This is probably one of the worst corners in town as far as visibility, just parameters you have to deal with, slopes, angles of intersections. Do think that while this use hasn't been there, people have got acclimated to it not being there, and now with people going in and out, it's gonna pose further implications to traffic flow going up McGuire Hill Road. I think, I saw that today there was a large study that was submitted by the University of Maine, yeah, I've got it. With tons of different options in there, and, I mean, we're talking $1 million plus for all these improvements to that intersection. However, I do think, I'm not saying that the applicant can pay $1 million for this intersection. I do think that traffic engineers should review this to see if there's ways we can do things with signs, speed limits, things like that to help reduce. It's a terrible intersection, speed's a big issue in this area, as long as visibility. I know you can put signs up, you can only keep the legal people from, but I think there's a safety concern with the new entrance, the new use of that entrance.
what about some type of, like, reflection mirror there, so at least coming out of North Raymond Road, you can, because you have to, I mean, it's almost like a turn, almost, I don't know what you call it, 165 degrees back, you know, you
Yeah,
have it.
and maybe that's something else. I mean, I think it would be helpful if a traffic engineer looked at this, and I don't want to restrict flow of traffic in one direction, but maybe right out only. I think if you're trying to go up that hill and make that turn out of this, that's really gonna complicate things. I think you restrict it to right out, but, I don't know. It's a really tricky, difficult corner. But I do think with this use coming back to life, it's just going to further create issues at that intersection.
I know when the store was there, it was a disaster. People used to park, they lived the car right in the middle of the intersection. Go to the store.
That's probably going through the store.
Yeah.
Coming down that hill in the winter.
It's happened twice.
Are there a lot of accidents here?
Yes.
Well, somebody came off McGuire Hill one day, Bradley had gas pumps out there, and he put those pipes out there, because the guy come down over, it was icy, he went right through the front of the store. Yeah.
So
So
I
one of
think,
the things about the parking is, someone's parked, we've been parking out front for years there, and that's the last thing we want. The only thing we seem to think feasible for parking out front was handicap. But in the winter, you have snow buildup, so it's really difficult to see that way.
No, I think the only place you can park is behind the building.
That's how we think.
Yeah, but I think it's just the traffic flow, and what can you do to warn people? I don't know if you can solicit the state to slow it down even more, I don't know if that's possible, but people come down that hill crazy,
They fly.
they fly. Whether they go left or right down North Raymond Road, or whether they go down McGuire Hill Road, once they clear Johnson Road, and it's a little bit of a launch angle there, right, too, because you get kind of a dip as you come down to those two roads. Elevation plays a bigger part of this than anything.
I don't know why they didn't have more accidents there though. Everybody used to pack out in front of that store. And I worked for the town for 5 years. I'd be plowing, come down off Johnson Hill, the whole intersection would be blocked. You'd have to blow the horn to get them to come out of the store.
With that said, is there any entrances proposed on that intersection side of the structure? Or is that all just gonna be glass, and
Yeah, there'd still be one main entrance on the front here.
how do you get to that?
There's a walkway up around here, under that covered porch. It's currently there.
So again, maybe to protect those, you might want some kind of either rounded barrier out to where you do own in the intersection, but maybe some kind of, because I know when you come up North Raymond Road, you've got to come to the stop sign, you got to go through the stop sign and almost make another stop to see what's coming up McGuire Hill. Maybe if there was a little island or something in front of the store, a little protection there with a little bit, I don't know.
There's, in that engineering plan from University of Maine, it does have a couple scenarios. One, I believe, was an island.
Yeah.
That rotary, that island, they have a few, they had to check every possibility out. Several of them are foolish because of that.
Yeah.
And there was one mistake, I can't remember where it was, but they sent us back some information. One of the numbers was like $130,000 more than it should have been, which I think would involve signage. They blew one of the signage mathematically.
Yeah, signage shouldn't be a
But
huge.
right now, there's just two stop signs out there, one coming down off of Raymond Road, one coming up Raymond Road, and one coming down Johnson Hill. The one on Raymond Road is actually on the wrong side of the road because there's no room on the other side. So, and there's no lines for stop lines, and to me, personally, I've been out there looking at it, trying to think of what would I do if I were in charge of all this stuff, which I'm not. You really got two intersections there. When you come down McGuire Hill and you want to go down Raymond Road, there probably should be a stop sign there, because you have to pass in front of Johnson Hill. And Johnson Hill's stop sign is there, but they have to pull out so far that it seems to be extremely dangerous. As everybody here knows, it's a very dangerous intersection.
Oh yeah, I'm just waiting to get hit there, because then I figure I can finally get it fixed. Because I go there twice a day.
We've tried,
and
we've
it's
spoken to the
ridiculous.
town, we've spoken to the state. The state says, in the intersection itself, the state argues over who's this, who's that, and there's an area in front of the house. We actually own the property. The property's so old that if you look at where the yellow lines are, that's where our property goes. It doesn't come to like where most of them are back from the road. It's actually in the road, and it goes up to the front. And you see where the triangle is up in the front? We actually own a whole lot more than that. But it's all right-of-way for state or town. So where do you put barriers? Who knows? And we talked to the town about putting barriers in front, and that's a bit problematic of what type of barrier, how many of them do you put? You know, we wanted to just put the cement blocks out there, and they're like, well, I don't know about that. So we're not really sure what that's gonna end up being. Probably just balusters out there in a particular area.
Is that what you have in the design?
Yeah.
It looks like you had like those.
So bollards.
Ballards.
Yeah, the ones they
Bollards.
put in front of propane tanks and
Yeah.
such, so people
Yeah,
get
it's
back
just the
into it.
concrete things.
Yeah.
Actually, they call that North Raymond Road Extension. And way back, even in the 70s, the town manager talked about closing it all.
Yeah, was that part of
It was
the study?
scary. They
I've
used
heard
to-
that before.
They never, a lot of times, they wouldn't stop at the stop
Study
sign.
here, there's like 3 or 4 options. One is to end North Raymond Road, make it a cul-de-sac. Another one is to provide a cut-through, which terminates the end of North Raymond Road, so you'd cut back through McGuire Hill on a 90, so you go left or right. So you basically make an S-turn going up through there. There was the roundabout, which is
No.
physically
Down there, there's no
impossible.
way.
And then to complicate it, you know, you've got a lot of drainage coming off the top of McGuire Hill, which comes flying down goes on the opposite side, and keeps going down North Raven Road. That's another issue that needs to be addressed at some point. Obviously, it's not this applicant's issue,
Yep.
but it all leads to a crazy intersection. And I know it has historical use there, but I do think that we're gonna need some kind of measures to help soften the change or the reactivation of this site.
What happened with closing off North Raymond? I'd heard that one a couple times.
I think that's not, it's something that the town would have to approve. It's a town road.
I don't think you can change anything over there. You know why?
It is a town road.
That's the whole
The
thing.
town owns the fee on the
Yeah,
road.
the town owns a fee in the road, so it'd have to be a town.
So, I mean, that's been discussed a couple of times, and then, once again, it's a matter of whether or not it goes to town meeting and people agree that, I mean, it can be brought up to us and we could put it forward. So you imagine everyone coming out of Gray, coming up the turnpike, like some people do. And you come up North Raymond Road, and then all of a sudden you gotta take a right, and then you gotta deal with a flashing light, and then take the left on McGuire Hill Road.
Or you just take,
Where there's
or
already-
you take the right at
Yeah.
11, and then you go up McGuire Hill Road.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying, if you
Yeah.
close that down, that sends all the traffic that way, which
When there's
then-
already an
Same
accident
thing,
every
it's,
other
if
week.
you can't, there's no way in hell you can put a stop sign coming down the hill off McGuire Hill
No.
on North Raymond Road, because it's gonna stack everybody up the hill and everyone's
Yeah,
gonna get
that's the
T-boned.
problem with that
There's no
one.
way that that's gonna happen, there's no way, so.
Was there
But-
anything that was proposed as best fit in that study?
I think they had like 4 or 5 things, I haven't
4 or
looked at
5
them.
things they had, like, I think I just rattled them all off, but I think the closure of the road and the connector from the end of North Raymond Road over to McGuire Hill was the two made the most sense, but again, it just adds another bend.
We can't make that decision anyways.
No, but we
Right,
can put it
that's-
forward.
No, I mean, if the applicant wants to present that to us as an option going forward, we
Well, that's
can-
why I'm asking, like, what was the best fit from your vantage point? Any of them?
I think just signage and even stop lines, painted lines in the road to slow people down. The thing I see as being the biggest problem is it appears, looking at pictures over the years, that when you go from our building up McGuire Hill, it seems to be a lot higher now. So people, there's a drop before that. So you kind of drop down and then you come up over. And there seems, traffic kind of disappears for a second when you're coming down. And then there's that bump in the road, which just has a big drop off in it. It seems like that, that's a big deal, regrading the road is what I'm saying. That seems to be an important one. I would widen it open. I mean, on the other side of the road, there's a telephone pole. If you come down Raymond Road and you don't stop in the winter, you're gonna hit the telephone pole possibly over there, which is on McGuire Hill if you were coming down Raymond. To me, you look at it and it's like, take some of that property out of there. That's 2 different properties that you'd have to do that to get away from the building.
I'm not a traffic engineer, but I would think also stopping people going up McGuire Hill Road, because that's kind of the blind spot coming from Johnson Road and North Raymond Road going north.
Mhm.
And, you gotta stick your head out around the corner of the store to see who's flying up the hill. At least if you know they're stopping, they're starting from a start position, they're not getting as much speed up.
So there might be, I hadn't never thought of this before, but as far as the gates, instead of the planter that's out there, it might be feasible with gates to have a very small opening so a vehicle could exit that way. But the problem we have, the first 2 weeks we owned the place, I almost got hit in that parking lot 3 times. That's why that planter went there. It just seemed like someone's gonna get killed in this inside the back parking lot.
Yeah.
I just felt someone was gonna get killed.
People try to cut through.
Oh, my gosh, we've got a 3-minute tape put to music, and half of it's on the back, you wouldn't believe it.
I think the gate.
It's because the intersection's too
I think the
bad, so
gate
they
gives
just
you-
cut through there.
I think a gate gives you flexibility, at least so you can move snow, like I said.
Yeah.
And if you got construction or something going on, you can open it, but obviously, for traffic flow and cut through, you can put some signs on it and close it up so people can't go in and out.
It's scary for the cut-through, but there might be something that makes sense if it's just an exit, or if it's just an entrance, I'm not,
What about a speed bump? You're not gonna come flying through there if you got speed bumps like they put in Casco by the beach. Those things will rip your engine out.
I'm not sure how well that'll
Going
work
down
with snow
Stevens Ave,
removal
it's the
and
same,
stuff. but-
they're more like raised panels instead of just.
Well, the
they
ones
got-
they put in
it's not
Casco, they
handles.
remove for the winter so you can plow.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, I see what you're saying, the
Yeah.
ones that got the actual yellow painted on.
Yeah,
as
and
well,
they're
they just
like,
drive 'em.
literally like
Yeah, they
this.
bolt in.
So you just, you're not gonna go whizzing over that unless you wanna lose your engine. You could put a speed bump. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know
well-
if legally you could put a speed bump, but I think if you're worried about people flying through there,
Yeah, oh, very much, very worried about people flying through there. That's why that plant is there. We didn't, we wouldn't have put that there if we didn't think it was necessary. That was the only reason it went there.
yeah. But if we were gonna consider letting him keep some of that open, or maybe like an exit only, you might still want a speed bump for somebody not to cheat.
Right, you still don't want people flying through. I hadn't thought about that particular thing before, so that's something to think about.
I'm on your side, I would love to see that building come back to life, so.
Well, we're not gonna use it, we have no intention, the office space is for us, we have no intention of doing any real business out of there, but it could turn into something down the road. But we're not looking at anything beyond like a realtor or something like that, where, just some simple office business, that's all we're looking at it as.
But I think we have to follow the rules.
Absolutely, you never know what it could turn into, so.
I think maybe you write in only might work. Give you access at least coming up North Raymond Road.
I was thinking out only, but like I said, I hadn't thought about it at all like that.
Yeah. But you'd have to do some geometry to kind of curb people from.
Well, that's the widest area over there. I think the planter's 53 foot long. I'm not positive, but I think it is.
Yeah, I think you could narrow that up too.
Oh, well, I think you'd want it in the middle.
Yeah.
You'd have to figure it out in the middle. I think you'd have to get some sort of an easement to move that fence you're talking about. What do you call it?
Gate.
The gate. You'd have to probably get that closer to the road though, for the,
Well, if you could open it in, so if you had the road, you could open it in so it didn't go out to the right of way. You own almost to the edge of the road.
we don't right to the center of the road, but it doesn't matter because
Right.
it's a right of way.
Right, but you own, if you went to the edge of the right of way where that dark line is on that
Yep.
plan, put your gate there, but we were talking about, then you open
Right.
it in.
You'll
Yeah.
see it.
I don't think you have any issues, then the fire department would have a Knox box on it. So if they had to get in there, they could, and then you'd have access to it,
Yeah.
open and close as well.
No, that place
Now,
up,
now, if you did that though, you have a Knox box on that and it's 2 in the morning and somebody's parked in that one spot, I guess one.
Well,
of
no,
the-
they'd have to keep that aisle open, they can't. I think they'd have room to park there as well.
That's what I'm saying, just as
Yeah.
long as that's
Yeah.
not gonna affect how the gate
Right,
opens.
right. Or you could do it on a roll gate as well.
Well, that's true too, true too, yeah.
There's a roll gate.
Always put those, I'm thinking those posts in there, you know how, well, no, I'm just saying, on these ATV trails, anyway, they have posts on some of them, so a vehicle can't go in, but the
class
side-by-side
wall.
can go through
Yeah.
it. So it's like that much room on each side.
Yeah.
So it'd make something where it'd be difficult to drive a car through it,
I think a roll gate probably would be the safest thing.
I think-
Yeah, probably right, but.
But I do think with, there's some signage and maybe there's some considerations for how you come up to North Raymond Road, because I think that's the most dangerous intersection. When you're
It
coming up
definitely is,
North
because
Raymond Road,
it is.
you're blind because of the building. And whether or not they can do something out front of the building, some kind of island there, maybe, I don't know. I mean, let's put a stop sign on the corner of the building.
I agree with what you're saying, but the bottom line is, it's the speed of the people who are driving,
I hear you.
which is not in our control whatsoever.
Mhm.
And I think putting a stop, I mean, again, traffic engineers should look at this, but I think if you put a stop going up McGuire Hill, that probably could eliminate a lot of, near misses there.
You know what the only problem with that is the big vehicle, big trucks. It's such a strong grade that when the trucks have to stop there, that's gonna be really hard for them to get going again. And
Better to stop there.
It is better.
McGuire Hill coming down.
I'm just giving you-
In your store.
I'm just giving you the insight to me watching, trying to figure out what's the best thing, and I haven't come up with great answers.
How many big trucks go up there?
Quite a few. There's a lot going up Johnson Hill right now. There's one guy that goes up and down 20 times a day when he's working. I mean, that's for a week or two every month he's doing that. And he's 20 times a day, easy.
Now,
Maybe
that
it's
piece,
inconvenience, but maybe they'll change the trucking routes, which also.
that
makes
piece
sense.
out back of the store, where the post office sits, that always been there, that goes back to Carbonell's Market.
We're talking about the drive-in, not
Yeah,
the.
we're,
Yeah,
and
let's
that-
kind of stay on point here.
That didn't exist. They made the road right behind the store.
So where are we at in terms of what we
Well,
want to do around
it
traffic?
seems like we're dealing with a parking spot issue that needs to at least be addressed on here.
Paper.
A potential of dealing with a gate, a roll gate, something for access, because, I mean, once again, even if you plow in there and you get your planter in there, unless you've got a front-end loader, I mean, what are you gonna do with the snow,
We've
so.
been doing it for 5 years and it piles up pretty high.
Yeah.
One year we had it removed because it got so high, but that was the second year we were here maybe, and the last 3 years, it's just
Right,
piled
but you
up.
didn't have parking going that close to the planter.
What you're saying could very well be a problem.
Right.
Yes, and I think that's what Jim was kind of addressing by saying that, but, I mean, there's ways to mitigate these potential issues, and
Mhm.
considering we're not getting snow like we always used to, so maybe,
Yeah, but what if we get 120 inches this year, you know?
well, then I'd say, good for the state of Maine, we'll get something worse in this state, so. We have some other people here, are you here to talk about this?
We wanted to hear the Gagny.
Oh, you're here for the Gagny one, okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure, because we so very frequently get, yes, in this room, it kind of makes us kind of go, So, I just wanted to make sure you weren't discussing anything about this. So, where are we at here? Seems like we're this close to getting over the finish line.
I would say so, I mean, the gate and the parking,
The gate and the parking, obviously the parking's the last part of the issue,
right,
and the gate, just to make everything work.
yeah, I mean, we don't have any control over the intersection. That's,
No, I mean, that's
you know,
DOT
what
and
it
it
is,
just,
Well, the question is, can they put signs at least warning of an entrance or something? Again, it has been used to this full effect for a long time. I think anything you can do to warn people is an advantage. I do think that there's some recommendations that need to be made for the overall street intersection and the signs around that to that point. And I know that the study that was done by the UMaine students talks about that. That could be helpful. Short of a redesign, a full-blown redesign though, you're not gonna correct this problem to the degree it needs to be, but I think you can mitigate with some signs and updates.
yeah. What's the life expectancy of the post office there? Talking about closing that anytime soon, probably not.
I've talked to the guy who's working there right now, his name is Paul, and it seems to be logistically impossible for them to close that right now. So that's in our favor as far as the leases and things like that go. They've got 2.5 years left, 2 years left on the lease, I'm not sure, I think it's 2.5. We intend to redo the lease as long as we get an increase in rent because they're underperforming as far as that goes, and that's acknowledged by the post office. But because of the amount of roads that they don't want to drive their postal deliveries down, they don't really want that post office to go away. It seems feasible financially because of the UPS and the FedEx services that they do there as well. And this is just me hearing secondhand, I don't really know if that's what they're thinking. But there's 150 boxes that are there, and they don't think that Poland can take that many boxes, and it's 4 miles away. Mechanic Falls is also 4 miles away.
With that traffic count, did that include spaces for the post office? Where's the post office park?
They're already there.
They have,
yeah, there's the four right there.
With those 4 included in the,
No.
no, okay.
No.
I think you may want to just, when you mark those out, you may just want to designate those. for you as
Designate those for
Yeah.
USPS only.
It is a different property. We just own them both.
It is a separate deed.
Yep, the separate deeds for both pieces is 91 and 95. And it's just that because the thing about the post office is the amount of, in the lease that we rent to the post office, we're giving them so much pavement area to rent for their parking, and it's really just enough for them to park, not enough to pull in. So we actually give them quite a bit of area for them to pull in on 95 so that they can use the post office. Which, I guess I might as well bring it up. In the past, I've heard people complain that that's a right-of-way through there. And it was never a right-of-way from Raymond Hill to McGuire, but at one point, two different people owned 91 and 95, and there was a right-of-way to do business from one place to the other. And when, before the Belangers, whoever owned it before that, bought the second parcel, ended up owning both parcels, I think by law, you're not allowed to have a right-of-way when you own both pieces of land, so that was taken away. And
Yeah, you'd have to have a setback would be imposed, no?
yeah, there's some sort of rumor that that's a state right-of-way that we hear an awful lot about down at the post office, complaints, but the deed was taken away when both properties were put together sometime before 1975, I don't know when.
I can tell you how
And
that's
if
like.
somebody wants to go against that, they can go against that in court, so that's not.
I just bring it up because it comes up.
Yep, yep, and you have every right to just say, no, well, if you wanna
And if you.
deal with that, go ahead.
If there's a way, if we're eliminating that one space out in the street on McGuire Hill Road, is there any way that we can at least make sure that's closed up further away from the intersection with some kind of curb or something? Because it's kind of wide open through
That
there.
is my intention, I don't know what that means yet, because the conversations we've had about what to do about putting things in, setback, sidewalk, and, you know, none of those things seem to fly very well with anybody, but sooner or later, we'll have to deal with that.
But-
Right now, there's couple of big rocks back there that I think meet the setback. I know, I went over them with Adam, and they're good where they are if they don't meet the setback as far as for now. But the reason the van is actually parked where it is because people were coming in everywhere on that side, all the way up. And there's at least 60, maybe 80 foot of opening for people to pull in right now. And the van is there because if I move the van, there'd be more like 100 foot or so of opening. And people pull in really fast when there's that much room.
So maybe we put some no parking signs or something there. But I do think if you're gonna make a conditioner, I do think there needs to be some kind of traffic signage plan for the site itself. Whether that's no parking and dedication of parking spaces and things like that. Something needs to be done to, again, to keep people from doing what you just said.
So would that be like parking, striping, assignment of spots to places? no
Yeah, I
parking,
think some
handicap
kind of
sign?
assignment for the business to
Yep.
the residents, you know, whether it's a numbering sequence on the pavement or signs or something of that nature, just so it doesn't add to the confusion about people, especially people coming into the office not knowing where to go. That and trying to reduce the throat that goes through both sides, you know, so people can't either park on the side of the road, because that's a visual block, or to kind of funnel them where they need to go.
And they do that. They'll park right on that side. And people coming out of the post office now can't see up the road.
Right. That's another reason why you don't want a car in that space of the road, because you can't see.
You can see pretty good. I understand your argument, I'm
Yeah.
not fighting
No, no.
it. But when you pull out, you can see pretty good.
Better on
And
that
the other
side.
thing is, the post office has been working the entire time, even though the business hasn't. So
Yeah.
as far as people not being used to it, there's still the post office that's working there. Just not a lot of vehicles, except for the summer, in and out of there.
There's not any type of barrier there now, is what you're saying, along that side, because I'm just looking at the old plus on your drawing, I mean, that is, and I guess it's different than what you have up there.
It's different, so.
But is it the same as, I mean, this is being added, correct? This year?
No, that's,
That's different than what, this is different than, okay, so 101 is different than what you
yeah,
have.
that's different.
Okay, that's the one that you
This
changed.
is the
to.
old one. This is the new one.
Okay, all right.
Because this took away these, redid
Yeah.
that, a few other things.
So I mean, if they do want sidewalks to go up there, they could put an island in there with a raised sidewalk, you know, give someone a barrier there too. You could access it out of the building and then, you know, crosswalk, and then you could do something down by the post office to kind of, again, just try to narrow it up a little bit so you can control where people go in and out.
it's hard to figure out how to make people safe there, that's for sure.
It is, it's probably.
I can tell you what they did. That whole intersection was designed for horse and wagon.
Yes,
When Belanger's owned the store, even Carbino, they let that grow up, it was all the bushes out back of the store. People made a path out through there, and when it rained, it was nothing but a mud hole. And instead of coming up by the store, because Carbino sold grain, and they used to block the other side, the little North Raymond Road extension on, so people had to go around in back of the store. And the post office wasn't even there. They used to cut through there because you could see better coming down, the traffic coming down over McGuire Hill.
So is a consensus of the board that we want to table this, or we want to allow them, I mean, because obviously we're going to have to see the final plan with, you know, the final delineation of the parking and so forth. I mean, I think as far as it goes to signage and whatever, I mean, that's obviously, other than them putting up no parking and saying, this is delineated for the post office and whatever, they can't do stuff in the DOT right away, so it's gonna be up to the DOT to, you know, come back and say, this is a you-know-what show down here. Put some damn striping down here at least.
That was my next question, is what leverage has the town put on DOT to put this on the list of a CIP or some kind of?
I don't know, the fact that we allowed them to put a, I had to hold my tongue on that one. We allowed them to do a huge super highway out of Gray to go up to Bethel. I don't know, do we have any leverage? Obviously, we don't. I mean, you could have the town manager start complaining to our
Well, it usually-
legislative people and saying,
Well, usually speed limit has to come from a request from the town to go to the state.
right,
The
and
applicant can't.
but that goes back down, we're still in the Scarborough DOT district, is that
Yeah,
where we are?
Division 1.
So,
But the request has
You
to
got
come
any
from
pull
the
down
town.
there, Scott?
All I'm just saying is that any reduce in speed limit, because we know speed's an issue here, that has to come from the town to the state.
right.
So you have to go to the town to request the town to request to the state.
so what kind of pre-meeting, like site review, who should be there to walk the property and discuss it as to what we think would be the logical thing to do? Sitting in here looking at it on a piece of paper is one thing.
Like he said, as far as in the street, you gotta work with the state, and that's kind of, as far as your site, you can get a traffic engineer to kind of guide you for what be the best scenario for signs, you know, nearby. That's all I can tell you. I'm not a traffic engineer, but clearly they can give you some guidance as to what you can do on the site.
But are we holding it up for that, or are we holding it up for?
No, I'm not holding it up for that, I'm saying we need to see if a full site plan, minor changing on that, just like we had asked for last time. It came back and now it's this close to being 100% done. The other stuff is, at the same point, I'd like to see the parallel track going on. That somebody reach out to DOT and I mean, because obviously we've dealt with this. We've got flashing lights at the end of North Raymond Road, which we never had because of accidents and so forth. So the DOT has all this data. So whether or not you can encourage them to be proactive, or maybe you go and stripe it yourself, I don't know, see if they give a crap, that you're doing it yourself, right, you're trying to make it safe.
The best thing to do is figure out who the best people are to talk to go, and go there and just discuss the issue and then move forward with a plan. It's hard to have a plan when you guys could have 2 or 3 in your mind, he has one, I have one, so it's, you know.
I don't think from this board, it's an issue of what the plan is, because we all know the state's a, you know, it's just a big behemoth. It's a ship going in a certain direction, can you get them to change it? We don't know, but we wouldn't hold you up on that. Other than maybe some signage there saying no parking down on the McGuire Hill side. Something like that, something simple that you could do. We're not gonna hold you up.
And if we put a sidewalk in, that would stop that, you would think.
Right.
But how close, because the so pre-existing non-conforming as far as the bound line goes, where does the sidewalk go and does it actually serve that purpose we're talking
Well, I
about?
think if you put a sidewalk in, you could work with the state that, because you could put the sidewalk in the state right away, but you have to
Correct.
work with them in there. I think John Skelly is the traffic engineer now for just Division 1.
Division one.
But he's got a massive area he's covering, so.
But stripes and a no parking painted on the pavement might be more cost effective on your end. for the time being, until you can get DOT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put no parking on your property line.
We're waiting on parking.
Yeah, so table it again, I guess, until we.
Well, we're tabling it because of the parking spaces, signage, all this other stuff you guys are gonna work on. I'm sure you can come back with something that
And
will
the gate.
placate us,
Yeah.
and the gate,
Right.
that will placate us on that end while you're banging your head against concrete walls dealing with the state.
Yeah, did you
And I
wanna
mean
see
signage.
something out front of the building, as far as like an island or something, like, is that?
Put a big planter out there with some nice flowers
I
on
would
it or
think you
something,
could do
something
some,
that,
I think if you, instead of having a sharp angle, if you did something that was kind of rounded, instead of, sharp, something rounded, that you could do a planter or something out there, kind of an arc in front of it.
I mean, just
would
make
help.
sure that no one can actually try to utilize that
Yeah.
as a parking
As far as
spot,
a-
whatever that is,
Or to
right?
zip
Yeah.
through and kind of cut the corner, right?
Sure,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
just-
we don't want anyone out there. I mean, I will say one thing that's very strange. When I park my truck out there, because I might be in and out doing stuff like trash, people slow down.
Mhm.
It's really weird, but it's actually safer with my vehicle out there. But I don't want to sacrifice my vehicle either.
Your vehicle's not out there 1 a.m. either, is it?
No.
Is it still two-way on the right hand coming down Old McGuire Hill
Way everywhere.
on the North Raymond Road extension?
yes.
Yeah.
It's still-
They was gonna make it.
That was
Remember when the guy on the
That was
four-wheeler
in there
got killed
too,
over
that
there?
was one of the
Scott,
suggestions.
do you guys have any-
We went right through that with the whole state.
You see?
And they advised us to make that one
The only
way,
question I have is,
but they didn't.
We gotta
we
bring it
haven't really
back.
talked about the
Stop
intensity
talking about
use
everything
of
but-
the office space. Is this still 3 employees or?
Well, it's only 3 employees because it could be 3 employees.
Right.
We don't intend to actually do anything but use it ourselves. But we might not just use it ourselves. If someone wanted to rent it and it's more income, we might go with that. But we have no intention of having it be a kitchen, a restaurant, a fast food place, a convenience store. That's not in our interest.
Be a Professional office or.
We'd have-
Just a, professional office, you know, if an architect wanted it, if a real estate person wanted it, if a lawyer wanted it, that stuff's all
Addition to
fine.
use on the 3 employees if it
Yep.
changed.
Yeah, I mean,
Up to-
right,
up to
we'll
3.
table it, but back to your point, saying it's, when we get to that point, or approving it, probably at the next meeting, it's gonna be a conditional, that's gonna be a condition, is it's gonna be a 3-person office, blah, 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 so, because all these things about the site plan, not all of them, certain parts will change depending how intense that use would be in that office, is what Scott's getting at. So, I guess on that, I'll take, any other questions for us? Everybody clear on this? Figuring out the one parking spot, maybe the gate thing?
I just have one more question, so you don't have to come back again. There was a question about waste disposal that was not, said they don't have a location and the method.
Yeah.
We did
dumpster.
call out just a spot on the site plan as far as solid waste disposal area, just kind of up here, we basically would wheel the bins out.
So it's curbside pickup?
Yeah.
So it's
You don't
not
have a dumpster?
a
No.
dumpster.
So just curbside pickup, and those will be in the garage or until pickup?
Yeah.
So I guess I'm confused about that. Why wouldn't you have it kind of closer down to the garage? Because now you're asking somebody to
Roll
do
it up.
curbside coming down or going up McGuire Hill Road.
Yeah, I think you'd want down.
There might
I
be
think
room
you'd
under
want it,
the
I think
stairs.
you'd want it anywhere in that triangle between the post office parking lots and the
Yeah.
gate that you have behind. I think that would need to be,
I think you'd want it further away from the intersection, what you're saying.
yeah, I think you'd want it in that.
You could
little-
store it, but when you pick up, I think you'd want it further away.
Right. Thank you on that.
And there was a note about a waiver for the financial, proof of financial means or whatever, but it was basically our response was we were trying to make sure it was a viable project before they approached the bank, so there was one note on that. As far as meeting the site plan requirements, there was a waiver request on that.
Well, I think you know everything that you need to know now about the whole project, correct? I mean, so there'd be a waiver required?
You'd have to have some proof of financial capacity,
I mean, yeah.
whether they have a letter from a lender or a bank, or they're gonna self-finance and just see prove what they've got, or what the project, I don't know what they're doing. Some means to show that they can do what you need to do, basically. I
Yeah, I
don't think
mean,
your
I
site,
think
it's just for the site too, it's not for the building, right? It's the site.
Improvements at least.
Yeah,
You know,
improvements
it's not
of the-
right,
of the
to cover
building.
that, right.
What's that?
I thought it was for the whole building. Is it just for the site improvements?
Typically, it's just for the.
Yeah,
For
I mean,
this-
the building's there.
The building's existing.
Right,
you
that's what I'm
making-
saying, so it's just really for the
Part,
site.
is it part of this, I mean, you're doing interior design as well, or is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
it's
I mean,
a-
Okay,
yeah,
so-
it's a-
So you, I guess for your project itself, whatever you're doing to
Yes, well, what are the
renovate. the
encompassing of the
building.
project, not obviously, I mean, it's,
Right.
I mean, it's the same thing, it's like the whole third floor is like an open area, I mean, it's just, could be, you know, whatever.
When you say third floor, do you mean the attic?
Yeah, the attic.
The attic's gonna have 18 inches, we're trying to figure out how to not allow that to be used in any way. And we figure we're just gonna end up with 18 inches of insulation across the entire attic, so that'll eliminate the use in the attic.
No, it doesn't matter, we'll make that as a
Two
condition
floors.
of approval anyhow, so
Mhm.
that it couldn't be.
Yeah, that was a concern for the fire department, and I certainly see that.
I guess, any other questions?
Yeah, just one, if you've got mixed uses, has the fire department looked at this, because there's fire ratings and separation, if they, is it going to
Yeah, we do have 2-hour ceiling. It's now 1-hour ceiling with intermittent paint, making it a 2-hour.
the fire
Fire
department?
marshal's probably gonna have to look at it because of the mixed use.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Right, because, yeah, it's gonna be the fire marshal, because we don't have delegated review here like we used to. Like a lot of communities. You're smiling because you know what I'm saying.
There's only 2 in the state.
Exactly. That's why I was smiling. That's why I
I'd
was
like to know
smiling.
who the other one is, but we'll leave that alone for this.
Portland Gorham, isn't it, or is it Portland, South Portland?
Waterville just got it too.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so everybody's clear on path forward, hopefully quick meeting, next meeting,
Yep. Yeah, we'll-
whenever you pull it all together?
When did you want to get started?
Well, we weren't in any great rush, we're waiting for the election. We're waiting for things to change a little bit. We've been doing this out of pocket for now, and it's time to go to the bank now and go forward, but we also weren't 100% sure on what it was gonna be. And after our first meeting here, we had a better idea. But we also, to be honest with you, when COVID hit and we put this on the shelf, our minds changed. What did we want? And it completely changed. So we kind of went back to what do we want, and we're still kind of half there now. So do we keep that first floor for ourselves, or the portion of it, or not? And we've gone back and forth. We think we want it for ourselves. So we're ready now to go forward, but we are also waiting most likely for the election before we actually go get money from the bank. Or we have 2 people in mind right now, but we haven't finished the plans, I haven't got final, plans have to be finished for us to go out and get,
Sure.
all the electric and the plumbing and all that stuff.
I've been there, yeah.
So until we get that, which is still, a large step, then we'll go to the bank. So we seem to be fine, especially putting it off right now, that's not bothering us a bit.
Okay.
Well, we appreciate that, because usually it goes the other way and we get yelled at for holding some
I was
things
a
up.
contractor.
Now, you were saying that,
All right, so
I'll make a motion.
can I take a motion to
I'll make a
table
motion
the
to
application, please?
Table which one are we on? Yeah, formal site plan, how Hughes Holdings LLC, 95 McGuire Hill Road, map 27, lot 17 and 18.
second,
All those in favor? All righty, well, hopefully this will keep you going down that path, and we'll see what happens in November, and things can work out.
All right, see what happens in November. Well, one way or another, things will probably get better, so.
Yeah, we'll,
We just had our
We'll
first decrease
find
in,
out.
we just had our first decrease in the interest rate, so, maybe they'll go down a little
Yeah,
more.
maybe.
So things could change.
Thank you very much,
yeah,
gentlemen.
have a good evening.
You guys-
All right, so we've got a formal shoreline zoning application.
You need me for more, or?
What's that?
You don't need me for this next one, do you?
Really, you don't wanna hang around for all this fun, Jim? I
No.
was gonna say I'd buy you a steak, but we don't have a steak dinner in town anywhere, so.
It's on you.
All right, take care.
All right, yeah, Jim.
Maybe Dutch Dutch would do a steak for you.
Yeah, at some point, but it's Tuesday.
Can't go tonight.
Yeah. 60 Upper Rang Drive, map 35, lot 7. I know you. I've seen
Yeah,
you in here a few times. I've seen you at some town meetings.
I'm pretty sure you have.
I know.
Evening, everybody. My name's Evan Jones with Jones Associates. We did a site plan for Ann here. Lance Baker put together the shoreline zoning application. He's going to be building this house for Ann. So, on this site, currently, there's a existing A-frame pit privy. So the existing structure is actually over the property line, to the westerly of Butter. So the plan currently is to remove that structure. And in the process of removing that structure, while that structure is removed, they're going to be drilling a well just below the proposed house. And the pit privy would be removed as well and replaced with a concrete chamber septic system underneath the parking area. The proposed house that you see is a bolded line, and the existing house is grayed out in the plan. So in order to make it conform with the lot coverage standards within 75 feet of the lake, the structure is being moved away from the property line to the west and towards Upper Rang Drive there. And there's also an additional shed that's going to be placed near the parking area. And then the existing parking area would be slightly reduced and revegetated. A portion of it would be lawn and seeded as lawn.
All right, so let's start with Scott. I have some questions on this, but you have any issues with this?
Well, right now, my biggest issue is height, because I don't know what was
Yeah.
there, and
That was my thing with it.
Yeah, so we
I had
did an
sent-
existing conditions plan for this, and
I had sent
don't know-
Josie a sample of how we usually do the heights on these plans, but
Yeah, and our height is on our existing conditions plan, it didn't get submitted with the application, I guess, but the front of the existing structure is 89.64, and the highest point on the existing ridge is 110.13. So the existing height of structure is 20.49, off from the front to the highest point along the ridge. So the structure that they're proposing to replace it with is 23.37. So it's slightly under 3 feet taller than what's there currently. The existing structure has a post, is on post and is being replaced by a structure on foundation.
so when you move a structure back, you can go up 3 feet with the foundation.
Well, that was my whole point, is you can come 3 feet above the grade. But I thought that meant that you had 3 feet of showing foundation. Correct?
Well, the foundation can come up 3 feet,
That's what I'm
yes.
saying. Yeah, those were my two issues, were the 3-foot thing and the height of the ridge. I mean, obviously, they're trying to correct the wrong of non-conforming structure being partially not on her property, unfortunately, and bringing it into the best compliance it can be. Yeah, those were my issues, I guess, so we want to talk about that.
I mean, right now, that, the front peak is, well, it's hard delineate where the actual front peak is, but it's in,
I thought it was,
it's in the 50-foot setback, just barely.
right. Yeah, I mean, just.
I don't think I have the full application in front of me, because Lance had sent it in, but what our heights were based off on, and again, they're shown on our existing conditions plan, which I don't think was included. It was along the front of the existing structure to the peak of the existing structure.
Well, right here, it's showing 23.9. Right? And he's saying it's a little over 20 right now, which is kind of where that 3-foot height differential comes in, right?
See where it is.
So, this is cross-section of the codes.
What does that mean? That's not,
Top step 4, top of foundation. That's not cross line. And top of the roof here says it's 23.9 something, 7/16. Same thing here. Play top of foundation. I mean, it seems like everything's fine impervious wise, because you're basically trading out non-impervious for pervious and so forth. I think it's just gonna have to get back into if the elevation and the foundation is correct. Am I missing something on that, Scott?
Well, I'm just looking at this, I mean, it looks like the grade's right up to you got grade right up to the base of the siding.
the back, yeah, the back of the house.
So if that was 3 feet of foundation, would we say anything?
What's that?
If it was 3 feet of foundation, would we say anything?
No?
So if they brought that foundation up 3 feet and got rid of some of that siding down to the ground,
I see what you're saying, because you're gonna take it off the mean on the back.
right? It's there, it's just not showing the 3 feet of foundation.
Well, maybe it doesn't have to be 3 feet, because it's saying here it's 23.9 something, it's at 20 something now, so maybe you don't have to have 3 feet showing there. You could have less.
It doesn't, it just says you can go up to 3 feet higher with the foundation, it doesn't even specify whether you come.
Right, but if they wanted the siding to come down.
Past the foundation, we wouldn't say anything.
Right.
I mean, I think, that's problematic anyways, with, if you got sill height right at the ground level.
Then, that's what we're saying, so you're gonna drive that up.
Well, drive that foundation up under the windows.
So you have 3 feet of exposed frost wall and then 20.
It doesn't even have to be exposed, you can side over it.
Side over. I mean, I know we're trying to be creative on stupidity, but unfortunately, this is what we have to go by, is sometimes it seems kind
Sure.
of dumb because it doesn't fit. It fits a generalized
Yeah.
thing of what's happening, not every individual lot. And a lot of these lots, unfortunately, where property is, they're kind of narrow and
Very.
they were laid out by people, chain and compass, and I don't even want to tell you what I've heard about how they should laid out, but
Yeah.
yes, I think. The overall thing is this design will work. Foundation, like you're saying, corrects all the deficiencies, a lot of the non-conformities, even though it's still non-conforming because of setbacks and so forth, but it's less non-conforming because you're making it better. And the biggest thing, at least from this board's point of view, which is sort of relayed in here, is you're moving it back from the resource, you're moving it back from the lake. And you're putting in a full septic.
I am,
So,
and I have a replanting plan from
yeah,
Andy
Andrew
Rao.
Scoggin.
Yeah.
Yep, good. So, are we good with that, Scott? Or do you want to see something a little bit different on maybe the elevation drawings on your point?
Yep.
Just, I mean, so everything on the application is still good, except for we'll get something different on the elevation drawings.
So changing that, instead of showing that sill going all the way to
Right.
the grade, showing grade and then 3 feet.
Well, show grade and then the logical point seems to be the window height to stop that foundation.
How do we do that?
Bringing that down to grade is problematic.
Which window height?
The one on the walkout foundation,
Side.
Gable end, front gable, so it would be basically,
that one right there.
Oh, no, those are too big anyways, they're gonna be much smaller.
well, it wouldn't change the window height though.
No, it just showed that,
Yeah, it's,
you get the gist of what's being said?
yeah,
That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be helpful. Is that? All right, so we have some other people here that wish to talk about this application. If you, actually, Zach, you can pick them up where they are. Now, everybody in the audience, I keep forgetting we've got,
Yeah, we're
like Big Brother here. We got
I don't
mics
have
everywhere.
any, I don't have any
We're
comments.
neighbors,
We're
and we
neighbors.
wanna know what's going on and be
But-
supportive of,
Are you the ones
of a
that
plan that's-
put the letter in our packet about if a couple trees had to come down?
No, we
No.
didn't,
Okay.
no.
We-
That was a different
We
neighbor.
only learned about it when we got the postcards.
Okay,
We love to hear about plans that are gonna be,
Yep.
good stewards of the lake.
sure. And that's why a butter notification goes out to people and so forth. So
that.
we're glad you waded through an hour and a half of other drivel. While you had to wait for
Exciting
this,
stuff.
but I mean,
Oh,
seriously, if you
riveting.
wanted, anything else you wanna mention about it, just, you good?
No, it sounds good to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, well, thank you for showing up. We should put out cookies every once in a while.
I think
Tax
popcorn.
money.
Tax money?
Why
Oh,
you trying to
come on.
spend tax money.
I'm on the budget committee, I chair the budget committee, I show you where tax money's going. Oh,
We're gonna have some proposals from the planning board on the next budget season, so
Yeah.
some things we need to.
Okay, so-
Serving refreshments when you have more than 20-minute application.
And just said we should require people to bring cookies with their
Yeah.
application.
Yeah, there you go.
That's part of the application process.
Yeah.
Better the cookie, the faster.
Unless they don't like us and don't know what those cookies are made with.
Eat at your own
So you're
risk.
basically saying I should not eat any
I
cookies
would
is
not,
what you're
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that, thank you, sir. Let's see, parking. Oops.
So don't you have to do a site walk?
Not if we, do you
Making
want us to do a
cookies?
sidewalk?
You making
Do
cookies?
you- do you- do you wanna make this go a little bit longer, or you want approval tonight?
No. Oh, I'll take approval tonight, I just
Yeah,
said you do a
then-
site
then-
walk.
Oh, we don't need a sidewalk. I mean, it's- No, we're kind of familiar with that whole end of
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you are.
the road. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm gonna do a Carl.
Signature.
Cutting of vegetation, less than 100 feet. Is there gonna be a couple of trees cut? There was potential because of the excavation that a couple,
I just got a couple days ago, I just got a preliminary proposal from Andy Scoggin for that.
okay. So we're gonna have received on that, because there could be a couple things cut.
Right.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion on the checklist, please.
Okay. Submission checklist. I'll make a motion that we approve the submission checklist for formal shoreline zoning application, Han Gagne, 60 Upper Rang Drive, map 35, lot 7 is complete.
Second. Questions, discussion, all those in favor? Take a motion on completeness with no,
Approval.
on approval.
Okay.
I apologize. It's been
And
a
there's
second.
no, the only condition is to submit a different
Height elevation.
Height
height
elevation,
elevation.
yeah.
Okay.
Kevin, can you take care of that tomorrow? This first,
We'll have to have your guy change his plan.
change the plan, okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the shoreline zoning application for Ann Gagne, 60 Upper Rang on Drive, and at map 35, lot 7, with the one condition of the site drawing be upgraded to the height for the concrete foundation.
Second.
And if you can
No.
submit that other page that's missing.
Yeah.
No sidewalk and no
Public hearing.
public hearing. There we go. It's getting late.
You have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Well, congratulations. One more piece of paperwork, pull some permits, and you're gonna have a nice new house.
And I'll be moving there, and that means my house opens up for somebody who's moving forward.
Well, there you go. Wonderful. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. So let's Scott sign the phosphorus calculation at the bottom.
I'm sorry, where? Oh.
All right, this one lasts a little bit longer than we had hoped, but it is what it is. So any other business?
Yeah, okay.
And we're thinking of
Now, for the record,
renovating.
we had no planning board here
Yeah,
until
here's-
1971.
Yeah.
And my dad and
Yeah,
Wiki
you've been so helpful.
was the first planning board members.
All I wanted to do was make my.
And he was still on the board, I believe, probably when that college
So
was
I
built.
just said, you just.
And,
Thank you very much,
John,
everybody.
you good? I think I am good. George?
I'm good.
Scott? You good? Sarah?
Good.
Anything coming up? Anything big? We gotta sign some papers here by the
We
scenes.
will have a meeting on the 8th at least,
We do have a
so,
meeting on Friday,
yes.
and you said
And
Heather
you will
had
not be
mentioned
there,
she's
you
gonna
will
be
not
gone,
be
and
there.
George
There's
was
the one, the next one in the.
You're still okay as long as Sharon and the rest of
Yes.
the
Meeting notes.
It'll be good here.
Put the windows.
You have Sharon.
Yeah, you just need 3 votes.
Yeah, we need
That's been very helpful.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take a final motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Oh, I can't second.
If I'm a big voting, then I'll second. There we go. All right, great.
Night, everybody.
Got a lot of votes in.
Thank you.